learn, and explain how training companies deal with these forces. Draw a figure or diagram and explain how training, development, informal learning, and knowledge management contributes to business success. Discuss various aspects of the training design process. Describe the amount and type of training occurring in the U.S. companies, and discuss key roles for training professionals, along with identification for appropriate resources such as journals and websites for learning about training, research, and practice. Why is training important? There are many challenges and opportunities in the workplace today. Training equips individuals with necessary knowledge, skills, and abilities. Training attracts employees to companies, engage them, and promotes retention. Training helps to create and sustain a competitive advantage. The key components of learning. You start with learning human capital. That leads to performance improvement to reach business goals. And in the middle of that, it is influenced by informal learning, formal training, and employee development, along with knowledge management. Learning to enhance human capital. Learning is the process of acquiring knowledge, skills, competencies, attitudes, or behaviors. Human capital is the knowledge, advanced skills, understanding, creativity, and motivation to deliver high quality products and services. How do training and development differ? Training facilitates learning job-related competencies, knowledge, skills, and behavior. Develop is more future-focused. It includes formal education, job experience, relationships, and assessments. Why is informal learning important? While formal training is important, much of what is learned occurs through informal learning. And the characteristics of informal learning are that it is learner initiated, it occurs without a trainer or instructor, it is motivated by an intent to develop, and does not occur in a formal learning setting. Breadth, depth, and timing are all controlled by the employee. Next, let's talk about explicit and tacit knowledge. Explicit knowledge. This is well documented, easily articulated, and easily transferable between people, and it is the primary focus of formal training. Tacit knowledge is personal knowledge based on experience that is difficult to codify. It's facilitated through informal learning. Knowledge management includes tools, processes, systems, structures, and cultures to improve the creation, sharing, and use of knowledge. It is important because it contributes to informal learning. The training process design, or the training design process. First, it starts with conducting a needs assessment. That ensures that employee is ready for the training. Then you can create a learning environment and ensure transfer of training. And to ensure the transfer of training, you would develop an evaluation plan, which would include the design and conduct of training. And after all that, you would monitor and evaluate. So there are a number of factors impacting learning. First, the economic cycles. And this is the effect of the current economic cycle that contributes to training in an organization's performance. In the current economy, it can be difficult to find employees with skills, and some of these employees need to be replaced or upskilled. High performing employees may be looking to change jobs for better opportunities. Globalization. Global companies are struggling to find and retain talented employees, especially in emerging markets. Many employees in the US are immigrants filling high skilled and low skilled positions, with the American companies needing to consider the benefit and cost of offshoring. And then we will talk about the increased value placed on intangible assets and human capital. What is meant by all these capitals? Human, intellectual, social, and customer. And how do training and development directly or indirectly influence each type of capital? Finally, or not finally, next, focusing on the links to the business strategy. Training should be carefully aligned with business goals, strategy to help an organization achieve the strategic goals. Training is no longer an isolated function, but it is an integral part of business success. Different companies have different strategies, and these strategies have different training needs. One size certainly does not fit all. Changing demographics and diversity of the workforce. The workforce is becoming older and more culturally diverse. The median age of labor is roughly 42.3. If the prediction was taken in 2026, the oldest ever recorded. Between the decade 2016 and 2026, the U.S. labor force will be more ethnically diverse due to immigration, increased participation from the minorities, which is always encouraged, and higher minority fertility rates. Now, training is important to help promote diversity and accommodate needs of different groups. Generations at work, there are really four main generations. That is Generation Z, which would include the students, the millennials, Generation X, baby boomers, and traditionalists. Diversity, equity, inclusion, also known as DEI. Diversity can be considered any dimension that differentiates one person from another. Equity refers to the fair treatment, access, and equal opportunities for all employees, while at the same time striving to identify and eliminate barriers that prevented the full participation of certain groups. Inclusion is creating an environment in which employees share a sense of belonging, mutual respect, and commitment to others so that they can become efficient in their work. Talent management. This is a systematic plan and strategic effort by a company to attract, retain, develop, and motivate high skilled talent. Key components are acquiring and assessing, employees' learning and development, and performance management and compensation. Top talent management challenges. Changes in demand for occupation and jobs, skills requirement, and developing leadership. For service and quality emphasis, we have to look at TQM, which is the total quality management. This is the company-wide effort to continuously improve ways people, machines, and system accomplish work. Now we'll probably skip over the training standard and look at Baldrige Award criteria. Leadership, measurement analysis, strategic planning, workforce focus, operational focus, results, and finally, and most important, customer focus. Six Sigma is the process of measuring, analyzing, improving, and then controlling processes once they have been brought within narrow Six Sigma quality tolerance or standards. This involves highly trained employees known as champions, master, black belts, and green belts who lead and teach teams. So, new generation may be wondering, how can social media help training? Well, they can facilitate training by sharing knowledge, capturing and storing it, of course, collecting employee opinions, creating online expert communities, encouraging participation in online discussions, sharing best practices and links to articles and webinars while interacting with mentors and coaching peers. For new technology, this is the most important implication with technology for training, and it has facilitated the development of digital learning, especially after and during the pandemic. Digital learning refers to learning that can occur daily in the work setting using devices such as smartphones, tablets, and computers. Digital learning solutions can include the use of artificial intelligence and wearables. Digital learning can help with reskilling and upskilling, while technology can enhance flexibility in where and when work is performed. Technology also helps with non-traditional employment. With high performance work systems, you will need work teams. These are when employees interact to assemble a product or provide a service, cross-training, training employees in a range of skills to fill different roles, and virtual teams, teams separated by time, geographics, and organizational boundaries. Looking at the snapshots of training practices, I will actually skip that as most likely it won't be on the exam. Let's take a look at characteristics of Best Awards winners. Training support, business strategy, visible support from time management, efficiency in training, with all employees being able to access training on a need basis, variety of learning opportunities, measurement of training effectiveness, and use of non-training solutions as well. For training roles, There's the learning strategist. This is the person that determines how learning can be used to align with business strategy. As a business partner, uses business knowledge and industry expertise to create thinking that improves performance. And the project manager. This individual plans and monitors delivery of learning and performance solutions to support the business. With professional specialists, they take a look at design, deliverables, and evaluates learning and performance systems. Now, I will also skip over that slide as well. Look at the discussion question. Describe the forces affecting the workplace and learning. How can training help companies deal with these forces? So, if we were to look at the forces mentioned earlier, that would be the the few things that happened earlier in the list. Okay, let's just go for example, changing demographics and diversity of the workforce. Just taking a look at back at the question. Let's just say for the age gap, just thinking of common sense, especially with digital learning arising with the new generation, and of course after the pandemic, it's just more flexible for workers to be able to communicate and work virtually where they don't have to be in office every day. Now with millennials and Gen Z, that may be a little difficult as the millennials, they may be more hard hat based. They may have more explicit rather than tacit knowledge, and they may not be well skilled with online activities. So of course you would have to train these individuals most likely through a structured training program, as I don't believe informal training would work in this scenario. How can training help companies deal with these forces? Of course, just training them, making sure that you can upskill them so that they can be more in tune with automation and of course AI online processes. They can also streamline the process just to save everybody's time and make more work more efficient while increasing the flexibility. Discuss the relationship between formal training and development, informal learning and knowledge management. How are they related to learning and creating a learning organization? So for formal training, this is a structured course to have people learn more about to develop the training skills. Informal learning is it's more hands-on activities, more experiences. It's generally guided by the learner instead of the teacher. So let's say for knowledge management, some people they may have difficulties with formal learning. You know, I guess even out there in the field, not really a desk person. I feel like everybody learns differently. And of course, some people may prefer hands on, seeing what it looks like, especially if it's a repeated process. It's difficult to go through all this work through a written guide. And I guess, of course, as things could change, for example, customer behavior is unpredictable. So just having that hands on experience, seeing what's people would be saying in regular scenarios, and of course, the rare occasion. That would be very beneficial. In terms of formal training, maybe you're punching in a time clock, maybe you're creating projects. I'm just speaking from personal experience. Formal training would be the better option as it's a structured guide and everything would be formal and it would set the guideline on how a project or a punch card would be utilized. What steps are included in the training design model? So if we were to scroll back up at the training design model, there's a lot of, okay, conducting a needs assessment, employees, ensure employees readiness for training, creating a learning environment, ensure transfer training, an evaluation plan, design and conduct training. I would have to say the conduction of a needs assessment And more in general, in a process, especially with steps, the first step would be essential as you don't want to waste time and resources because in the needs assessment, you see what has to be trained, who has to be trained, and in what format you want to be training this in. If you conduct a poor needs assessment, the rest of the steps would not be for fruition. It would just be a waste, as you may have the wrong control group, you may have the wrong thing that people need to be trained on. And of course, if a learning format setting is incomplete or unreliable, then the importance of the training kind of goes through the window as well. Now, finally, what are intangible assets? So, intangible assets, that would be human capital, social capital, intellectual capital. That would be things like previous experiences, knowledge, and just having the ability to adapt to new training. And of course, with knowledge, it just makes training a lot more easier as you're not going to everything new. You have a, I guess, background or idea of what you would be doing. So again, you don't have to start from bottom all the way to the top. You could maybe start from the middle and go higher. And my fifth discussion question: how are companies using training and development to benefit them in today's economy? Well, the most simple answer, just I guess, bottom line, is that companies use training and development so that they can get high, knowledgeable, upskilled workers so that they can differentiate from the competition. Of course, having a few strong employees is better than having a lot of low skilled employees that just require a lot of maintenance and training in general. So, cost efficiency and making sure that they keep up with market demands through skilled workers, talent management, as mentioned earlier. A sixth discussion question: what is agile learning design? What advantages does it have over the traditional learning design? Now, I don't believe this is in here. Yes, so I will take a look. Agile learning design. I do remember seeing this in the textbook, however. So, according to AI overview, it is a constant developed approach that focuses. I remember this. Okay, yeah. So basically, it's a training program that is adaptable. It focuses on speed and flexibility. So let's say something doesn't work here. Hey, we can take a look into the training program and then adjust it accordingly. Now, in the traditional instructional design, let's say hypothetically is a PDF instead of a website, it's difficult, or a book or a manual. It's difficult to change things like that over time. Again, with a set PDF or structure process, things change over time. There may be an easier way to streamline a process, or just there may be flaws in the agile learning design in the as it said in the name. It's more flexible. You can adjust to that, and I do believe that in agile learning design, especially in the era where there's technology, everything can just be adapted, and not everything should be set in a straight and narrow path. As companies adapt, and to compete with the market, you would have to adapt along with it. So now, damn, a discussion question. Explain digital learning. Digital learning is just learning online, whether that be on an online or I guess e-learning system, which if that's on computer, iPad, smartphone, it's beneficial to companies because it offers flexibility. It's generally low cost as well, and you could have people interact as well through digital learning. And like I said, the most important thing is it's flexible. Now, the potential limitations, it may be difficult to do hands-on training through this. Let's say you want to learn to use a forklift online. Again, every forklift may be different. When you're doing the e-training, they might have it in a different format regular to the one that you would usually have. So maybe when you do it in person, the buttons or the steering wheel, whatever, maybe in a different format. So there's no hands-on training with that. That's really one of the main limitations. Damn, a ninth question. Which of the training prof which of the training professional roles do you believe is the most difficult to learn? Which is the easiest? Okay, so training professional roles. I would say now let's take a look at the training professional roles. Man, all these discussion questions. Training roles. Okay, so I would have to say manager, business partner. I would say by default it would have to be the learning strategist. This is the person that determines how learning can be used to align with business strategy. Now, they most likely they wouldn't have the business strategy already. That may be developed by the project manager or the business partner. So, with experience, they can see how different business strategies in training align together as well. So, they really already have a preconceived idea and they just place it to the best format would be fitting for the business strategy for the business in question. I swear, if this is a 10th discussion question, I'm out. Oh my goodness. What is the relationship between diversity, inclusion, and equity? So, DEI. Diversity, it's what makes people different in a workforce. Inclusion is making sure that everybody feels included. They are respectful to the norms and the cultural backgrounds and differences, and also puts the priority to make sure that everybody is included. It doesn't take away, it takes tries to take away the limitations that would affect anybody in the group as well. And equity is just treating everybody equally. Simple as that. And DEI is important because especially from different backgrounds. Everybody has different ideas. Everybody has different ways to transfer, process learning from a learning perspective. And DI is important because if you did not take DI into consideration, then you would be missing out on top talent. And again, people are trained differently. Describe the training courses that you have taken. Okay, I believe this is all of the textbook questions. So take a look at week one teaching. Said the same thing. Okay.